Welcome 5th and 6th graders to St. Mark Festival of 2024, Lesson 5. The Lord is my peace. Let's learn about Daniel, a man greatly beloved. This story teaches us that God gives peace to those who love Him, even when the times are hard. So, who is Daniel? Daniel was from the tribe of Judah. He lived in Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and captured many people. King Nebuchadnezzar commanded Ashpenaz, the master of his servants, to bring him young men of the noble people of Israel and the royal family who are wise and good-looking, to teach them the language and literature of the Chaldeans. These young men will spend 3 years in the palace. They will eat from the king's delicacies and drink the wine of the king. At the end of the 3 years, they will serve before the king. Daniel and his 3 friends were among those young men. However, they refused to eat the king's food. Daniel bravely asked Ashpenaz if he and his friends could eat only fasting food, like vegetables and beans, and drink only water, not the king's wine. God blessed Daniel for his faithfulness, and God worked in Ashpenaz's heart and allowed him to like Daniel. Ashpenaz agreed, but he was afraid that the king would find out and notice if they became weak, and he was worried he would get into trouble by the king. But Daniel convinced Ashpenaz to test them for 10 days. And after the 10 days of eating only vegetables and drinking only water, the king's servants would see how they looked. After 10 days, Daniel and his friends looked better and stronger than the other men who ate the king's food. Ashpenaz decided to only feed them vegetables and water from that time on. And one day, King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that disturbed him so much. He called all the magicians and the astrologers and asked them to tell him the dream and interpret it. Of course, they were not able to do so. The king ordered to kill them all the magicians and wise men, including Daniel and his 3 friends. Daniel was a man of prayer and loved God. He knew God always was with him, and this gave him peace. He went to the king and asked him for some time to figure out the dream and its interpretation. He went home and prayed with his 3 friends, and God revealed the dream to him and also its interpretation. Daniel went to the king and told him that no one could tell the king his dream except God in heaven. Then Daniel told the dream that God revealed to him. There was a big statue. The head was made of fine gold. The chest and arms were made of silver. The stomach and thighs were made of bronze, and its legs and feet were made from iron and clay. A big stone was cut out without hands and struck and broke the statue into pieces. Then the stone became a big mountain and filled the whole earth. Then Daniel explained the dream. He said that the parts of the statue represent the kingdoms that will rule over the earth. The big stone represents the kingdom of God that will break the other kingdoms into pieces. This kingdom of God shall never be destroyed and will stand forever. The king rewarded Daniel and his friends for explaining the dream. Many years passed. Daniel was 90 years old at the time and full of wisdom. Darius became king after Nebuchadnezzar. He appointed Daniel as one of 3 governors because he knew Daniel was very wise. The other rulers became jealous of Daniel and wanted to find some charge against him. They went to the king and asked him to sign a decree that whoever worships another god other than the king would be put in the den of lions. When Daniel heard about the royal order, he went home, knelt on his knees, and prayed to God. He continued to pray to God without hiding 3 times every day. The people saw him praying, and he was put in the den of lions. The king said to him, "Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you." Daniel 6:16. Guess what happened? God sent an angel to close the lion's mouth and save him. The king rejoiced when he saw Daniel alive, for he loved him. He witnessed in front of all that Daniel's God is the true God. The king was so pleased, he punished the evil men who accused Daniel and cast them into the den of lions. The king then declared before everyone that Daniel's God is the living God and his kingdom shall not be destroyed. Another time, the king wanted Daniel to worship an idol named Baal. The Babylonians used to offer the idol food. Daniel refused, saying he does not worship idols made with hands, but only the living God, the creator of heaven and earth. The king tried to convince Daniel to worship Baal by telling him how much the idol eats and drinks every day. Then Daniel told the king that Baal is just clay inside and brass outside and has never eaten. So the king got really angry, and he called all the priests of Baal and asked them who eats the food given to Baal. If they can prove that Baal has eaten the food, the priests of Baal will live and Daniel will die. Otherwise, the priests will die. The priest asked the king to prepare the food and set it before Baal. Close the doors and seal them overnight. If the king enters in the morning and finds that Baal has eaten the food, then Daniel dies. And if he hasn't eaten the food, then they die. The king had the priests of Baal prepare food for the idol, place it in front of it, and seal the room with the king's seal to make sure no one comes in the middle of the night to take it. Daniel asked his servants to sift ashes throughout the temple in front of the king before he sealed it. The ashes were like dust on the floor. So the next morning, the king didn't find the food they placed. However, Daniel showed him the footsteps on the floor. The king then found out that the priests of Baal had secret doors where they come through and eat the food. The king punished the priests of Baal and gave the idol to Daniel, who destroyed it. Daniel's life had many hardships, but he never complained or worried about them. Daniel always had peace and trusted that God was with him, and he was a witness for God to all the people. Let's say the verse together. Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. Daniel 6:16.